All right, so here we are on factoring worksheet B, and what we have is some special situations on these. We either have perfect squares or we have differences of squares, okay? So while we're doing these, we're going to be practicing those two ideas. Okay, so number one is a perfect square. And the way I can tell this is because I've got a perfect square at the back, I've got a perfect square in the front, and then I'm looking to see what I get in the middle, okay? So remember our rules that we had get for the last worksheet. Plus plus generates a plus plus. A plus minus generates a plus minus. A minus minus generates a plus minus. And a minus plus produces a minus minus. Okay? So let's look at this first one. Again, like we had yesterday, we've got an x and an x that gave us x squared. Right? And it's a minus plus, which means that this was produced by a minus minus. Now, what two values would multiply and make 9, but add and make negative 6? Okay, so if I had 1 times 9, that would be 9. But the problem is that when I have 1 plus 9, it doesn't make negative 6. Okay, the other thing I could have is 3 and 3. If I use x minus 3, then x times x is x squared. X times negative 3 is negative 3x. Negative 3 times x is negative 3x, so that gives me negative 6x. And negative 3 times negative 3 is positive 9. Okay, so we can write our final answer as x minus 3. And since these were the same thing for both of them, I can say x minus 3 squared. Okay, so let's do another one, okay? This time, let's look at 16m squared minus 24m plus 9. Okay, so again, I'm working with perfect squares on this worksheet. So I know that for the outside, I've got 4m times 4m, because the square root of 16 is 4. It's a minus plus again, so that's going to produce a minus minus. And according to our chart that we have at the top of the page. And I know that the two values that will multiply and make 9, their perfect squares are 3 and 3. So 4m times 4m is 16m squared. 4m times negative 3 is negative 12m. Negative 3 times 4m is negative 12m. And negative 12m plus negative 12m is negative 24m. And then negative 3 times negative 3 is positive 9. Okay? Okay, so that finally gives me 4m minus 3 quantity squared. Okay, so that's what's going on with our perfect squares. Now, the difference of perfect squares, like we have for 2 and 3, that means that there is some value in the middle that canceled out. So I'm looking at this and I'm saying, okay, when I have just 2 terms rather than 3, and both the front and the back are perfect squares, there's no value for the middle because, you know, there isn't an end to the first. So I know, well, 2n times 2n gives me 4n squared. Okay? I know that my last number was a minus, so they multiplied a positive times a negative to get that end. Okay? And the two numbers that would multiply and give me 25 are 5 and 5. So I have 2n plus 5 and 2n minus 5. If I multiply these back out, 2n times 2n is 4n squared. 2n times negative 5 is negative 10n. 5 times 2n is positive 10n. So negative 10n plus 10n cancels out. And then I've got 5 times negative 5 is negative 25. Okay, let's look at number 3. Okay, this one's a squared minus 25. So again, I'm going to multiply a times a to get a squared. They multiplied two numbers to get a negative, so it was a positive times a negative. And the two values that multiply and give me 25, that's a perfect square. 5 times 5. So this is a plus 5 times a minus 5. If I multiplied back, a times a is a squared. A times negative 5 is negative 5a. 5 times a is positive 5a. And then 5 times negative 5 is negative 25. All right. Let's do one more of each, okay? On number 5, 16. Well, let's see. The square root of 16 is 4. So I've got 4a and 4a. They multiplied, they got a negative. So it was a positive times a negative. The two values that would multiply and give me 25 are 5 and 5. So it's 4a plus 5, 4a minus 5. I could multiply it back, check my work. Okay? Then number 8. Number 8's going to be a series of perfect squares where we have plus. It's a plus plus, so it'll produce a plus plus. 5x times 5x gives me 25x squared. I've got a 4 here, so that's going to be 2 and 2. So 5x times 5x is 25x squared. 5x times 2 is 10x. 2 times 5x is 10x. And 2 times 2 is 4. All right, well, guys, I hope you have a great weekend. Hope this helps on the worksheet. Remember, on factoring worksheet B, this is going to go through to number 30. And these are due by next Tuesday. So I will see you then. Have a wonderful weekend, and I hope everything goes well.